Hi, welcome to Talking and Reading from Japan. I'm your host, Hidemi Woods. I read an episode from the memoirs I wrote and talk about it or anything that I feel like talking to you. I hope you enjoy with me. Today, I'll read part of one of my memoirs titled The Girl in Kyoto. All the memoirs I wrote actually happened to me when I was a child. And today's episode also described what happened at one point of my childhood. Today's episode is called The Doorplate. It's about our family's doorplate that was hung on the gate of my family's house in Kyoto. The doorplate. A Japanese house has a doorplate at its entrance. Typically, the surname of a household is written on it. Some families also add the first names of each family member on it. When I lived in my hometown with my grandparents, our house had a big wooden board as a doorplate at the gate. It had looked strange to me because the full name of my grandfather was written on it instead of just our surname. As a child, I didn't understand why other members' names of my family weren't on it. Our plate said as if he lived alone. It was hung high at the gate with his full name proudly written with a writing brush. I'd gradually felt like I was going in his kingdom instead of coming home. The board had been getting on my nerves, and finally I asked my father why our house had an annoying doorplate like that. He didn't seem to care because it had been there since his childhood. I summoned the courage to ask my grandfather directly why only his name was on the family plate. His answer was the same one that he gave me when I asked him why I couldn't have a dog. Because it was his house. His theory was always that he's a landlord and other family members are tenants. The doorplate had become a symbol of my grandfather's dictatorship to me. I even asked him once if he knew democracy. And his reply was, "Take it outside. This is my house." My father couldn't stand my constant complaints about the doorplate and found the solution for me. He joyfully took me to the back door to show me something. On the small wooden back door, a piece of paper was scotch-taped. All names of my family were written in my father's handwriting on it. It was his handmade doorplate. The back door faced an alley that was used mostly only by a mailman. He claimed that it was our new doorplate, which was no longer a plate nor a board, and no one would see. While my grandfather's name was grandly shown at the front gate, ours became illegible quickly because of rain. When our house was rebuilt, high-grade lumber was selected as the main pillar in the middle of the house. Inside the joint to the roof, though invisible from the outside, my grandfather's name was deeply carved into the lumber. That was today's episode. The doorplate that was hung on the gate of my family's house was a big symbol of my grandfather's ego to me. As a Japanese old custom, according to it, the family was quite big because after the firstborn son gets married, he lived with his parents, with his newly wed wife, and had a child there. So the household was naturally big. And if that family had no son, the firstborn daughter took her husband into the family and lived her parents together. So, in either case, they lived all together. 2 generations lived together was quite common in a Japanese old style time. And my family was no exception. And since I was born, I had lived with my grandparents and my parents. And because my parents were quite busy for work, I was mainly raised by my grandparents. So to me, my grandparents were much more like my own parents. And my parents were, to me, were like my brother and sister. Because my parents and I and my sister were all afraid of my grandfather. He ruled my family strictly as a dictator and laid the tight rein over us. And he was the king of my family and we were all servants for him. We never talked back to him. We never opposed to him. We just needed to say yes to him, even though he told us something something irrational, something crazy, something stupid. We just nodded our heads and said yes. So he was a really strict parent for me, and he taught everything for life for me. So although I hated him, I can't deny that I was deeply influenced by him. And I notice even now, something I do unconsciously was eerily resemble to what my grandfather did. So it's scary in a way, because it may say that I am becoming like my grandfather. It's such a scary thought. Anyway, like that, my grandfather was a king of our family, and my house was his kingdom. And so my parents, my grandmother, and my sister and I was just renting piece of his land inside the house. We were just tenants or servants. And my grandfather showed how important he was in his family by that doorplate. His full name was written on it. So as if the other members of the family didn't live there, because we were invisible on the surface of the doorplate. We didn't our name didn't show. So every time I went through the gate when I came home from school or came from outside, I felt like I'm visiting my grandfather not coming home, because the gate said his name grandly. And as a child, it was getting my nerves day by day, And finally, was, I just broke. I just couldn't take it anymore. And I introduced democracy to my grandfather. I dared. And he didn't have ears for that information. He ignored it. But I was spared from his scolding. That was a relief. And but I just behind my grandfather's back, I kept complaining about it, about his dictatorship, about anything. His rules, his stupid rules, his foolish rules to my father. And he came up with his handwriting doorplate that soon was soon washed away by rain and just smudged weird piece of paper was stuck on a small wooden back door of our house. But my grandfather, for some reason, really liked to show his name to everywhere. He was nobody. Basically, but he just wanted to show his name any chance he got. Like a doorplate is one example. And if Shrine had a drive for donation, and he was, although my grandfather was such a thrifty, stingy man, he was willing to donate money to a shrine or a temple only because in return his name was carved on a pillar of the decorational pillar of the garden front yard of the shrine or temple. Just having his name carved, he donated money, quite some money, to a shrine or a temple. He liked his name shown that degree. Or in his late years, he was chairman of Chrysanthemum Association of Kyoto. And he also was a chairman of a local senior club. And a local paper sometimes happen to pick up a topic of those associations or clubs. Sometimes his name appeared on the local paper, as a small topic, and because he was a chairman. And then once he found his name on the paper, of course, he clipped it, and he outlined in red beside his name and showed us. And he bragged about his name was on the newspaper, and beside the Japanese letters are written on a not vertically, horizontally, not vertically. So his name was written, his name on the paper appeared vertically, and so he outlined beside his name in red and showed other family members, although we duly knew his name. But look, my name is on the paper. And that topic is not important. It was not news. It's just the newspaper company was struggle to fill that day's space and short of topics or events or news. So they just suffered from the space filling. That was why they chose that small, unimportant event and topic, and they printed it. But to my grandfather was a big achievement because his name was on the newspaper. He liked to get his name in public that much. So how important for him to see his name was in public was precisely represented on that doorplate of our family. So he also carved his own name on the main pillar when our family's house was rebuilt, although no one could see. No one could see from outside, but he always mentioned us that main pillar had my name on it, although we duly knew it. And he bragged about his name appearance constantly. But he, although he liked his name that much, and we just unwillingly followed his way and allowed him to do what he liked to do. After he passed away, the house was torn down because my parents couldn't afford to keep it when they failed their business. And they spent all the money they inherited from my grandparents, or more accurately from the ancestors, generation after generation. My parents threw away all the money they inherited, and so they couldn't keep the house, so they had to sell the house. And when they sold the house, that happened after I left home. Um, the entire house was demolished, including the gate building. So, my grandfather's doorplate and the main pillar that had my grandfather's name carved were all gone when the house was demolished. I left when I left home to become a musician. My parents fiercely opposed it because I was the firstborn daughter, and I was supposed to succeed the family, but I refused and left home. So, for some reason, for some insane reason, although they sold the house because my parents failed their own business, to this day, they blamed me. They believed that I was the one who made the house demolished, because I was the one who abandoned the succession of the family, and so they just didn't see their failure, and they put it to my faults. And that was why I deeply believe that my parents are insane. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for listening. I'm Hidemi Woods. Other books of mine and my songs, or my entire articles are available on my website, hidemiwoods.com, HIDEMI woods.com. So if you like, please visit my website where all the links to my works and SNS and my merchandise that features my own illustrations are available. Thanks for listening again. I hope to see you again soon. Until next time, take care and be well.